Okay, yeah, good gong. That was a good gong. All right, so good morning, everybody. This is it's the first Sunday in October, so this is our all ages gathering. Thank you for being here. I got an idea for what to do with our silence. It's always so hard to know what to do with all that silence. And so what we're going to do is we got a liturgy that's going to come up on the screen here in just a minute, and it's a poetic rendering of the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven. And for those of us who would like to, we'll just recite it out loud together. You're under no obligation to do so. I would particularly encourage you, if you've never heard it before, to just sit this one out and read it. Make sure it seems true to you. There's the old adage that words create worlds. The things that we speak out loud have world-forming capabilities, and so it's a good idea to know that we believe what it is that we're saying. So for those who are comfortable in joining, Corey will lead us through this liturgy, and then we'll move into some silence.
So just take a real deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. O source of the radiance, let your light lead us home. Make one our hearts, our minds, and hands, as in essence, so too in form. Thank you for this present moment. Cleanse our memory from all shame, as we release the strands of guilt entangling one another. Awaken us from all illusions, even those we treasure most. We offer our reverence, gratitude, and creativity as love's eternal witness. Amen.
Okay, so we're going to acknowledge and hang out in some silence together. But I just had this idea, and even though it flies in the face of pretty much everything that I've come to understand about the contemplative tradition, we're going to do it anyway. What do you think about that? We're going to have a silence competition with each other. Okay, you guys, I know you guys like competing. Because what is life without rankings, victories, losses, comparisons? It's a lot more open and free, really. But this is what we're going to do. So recently I went to a breathwork class. Never done that before. I've always just breathed on my own. Never worked on it, but I got invited to Mike's breathwork class, and I learned something. Actually, hold on. I'm going to tell you what I learned in a minute. We're going to have 2 rounds of silence, and this is how we're going to do it. Corey is going to lead us through just 3 deep, regular breaths. On the 3rd breath at the top, we're going to hold it, and we're just going to hold it for as long as we can so that you guys can have bragging rights, okay? One of you. Yes, pretty much. Okay, you got that? Yeah, you guys are dialed in? All right, Corey. We're going to do 2 rounds. So
2 rounds.
Yeah, so the first round,
Okay.
And let's do that, and then I'll talk again.
Okay, 3 big breaths. And on the 3rd one, we breathe all the way in? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
hold
thinking?
it.
Okay. So yeah, on your 3rd big breath, deepest breath that you can, hold it for as long as you can. You ready?
Ready.
Here we go. 1. 2. All the way up. All the way in and hold as long as you can.
Yes, good job, good job. Well, man, I got to tell you, the LOL really adds a difficult element. Oh, some of you are still going? All right, sweet. Keep holding. You guys who are still holding your breath, keep holding. Whilst I queue up the next round. Okay, so this is what I recently learned in my breathwork class. You can, okay, maybe you already know this. You can hold your breath at the bottom, like at the exhale, okay? Thought had never crossed my mind. Yes. And so, like you guys, I wasn't paying very good attention to the rules. Nice. During the introduction. And so when Mike exhaled and then made his hand say, stay there, I was like, here? On empty? And I kind of panicked a little bit, and I didn't make it too long. Meanwhile, the rest of the group held their breath for upwards of 45 minutes. I don't know how they did it. So this is what we're going to do. Corey's going to lead us through 3D. You guys, you're going to want this information there, front row. You guys, hello. What? Bets, would you please stop talking for just a minute? All right, so listen, we're going to go through 3 deep breaths again, and we're going to hold this one at the bottom, at the exhale, on empty. And
Can we hold our breath and then empty, and then hold it, or do we have to go on?
you got to hold it on empty. Exhale. It can be done. I've seen it happen. And we're going to hold it. Yes. We're going to hold it on empty, and I'll give you this one little trick, and you can do this. If what's going to happen is your body's going to start to think that you're dying, and all of these like unconscious, all these unconscious impulses are going to kick in to say you have to breathe or you'll die, but you're not going to die. So this is what you can do. Listen. You can take just a little sip of air while you're on empty. If your body's like won't do it anymore, you can just go like through a straw, just a little bit. No, you can do that. You can do that. Okay. We got it? Are we ready?
Let's do like 7 deep breaths and hold out, so we can give
All right,
our lungs a chance.
Yeah, you take it from here.
Yeah. 7 deep breaths, big exhale, hold at the bottom. All together. Ready? Here we go. 1. Last one, hold at the bottom. Anybody still going? Maggie's still going.
Well, Daniel's still going. Well, that, for one, this poem, and at the conclusion, I'll invite any of you guys, children who'd like to come down front to do so, and we're going to read a kid's story together. But here's a poem based on this prayer called the Shema. That's that next slide, Ben. Old beginner, you, never ever ending, new. Starting always at the end, listen. To blowing breeze and oak tree leaves, to playground jokes, to rain-soaked tires of tired commuters, each and all a harmonic chord of a never ever ending rhythm, listen. To your own heart in constant start, the stillness is the measure, the reaching and the leisure. Listen, you who struggle and usurp, place tiny and audacious hands on the one almighty God, and even in the holding on still, listen. Space is found within around. It holds the beat, the presence and the absence, one. Upon whom no name is hung, and who, through any method known, cannot be hung onto. So give away your given breath, be grasped by what you cannot grasp. Trust that what remains unseen is ever, never ceasing. Spirit, breath, life, wind, ruach, Shema. Listen. So feel free, if you guys would like to come on down and sit on the floor, you are more than welcome to. So for the last few weeks, we've been going through a little mini-series called The Vision of the Vine, and we've made it through 3 parts. So this morning is The Vision of the Vine, part 3.5, and it's called One Wave. So the foundation of the message that we carry as a community, what it seems that we're here in this moment to express, is the reality that God is one, that there's really only this one thing happening. That God is one, and therefore we can be at one. We can learn to be one as God is one. And from this place of oneness, we can one another. That's one as a verb, one another. And this all comes from this, the most significant prayer in the Hebrew people's culture. It's called the Shema, and it goes like this. Shema, O Israel. Shema means listen. The Lord is one. So love the Lord with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your strength. That means you be one also. And love your neighbor as yourself. That's what Jesus added. And it's important, I think, to notice that Jesus didn't say, love your neighbor as much as you love yourself, but love your neighbor as yourself, as an extension of your very own being. It's a part of who you are. I wonder, does anybody want to take a shot at what the difference is there? What's the difference between loving your neighbor as much as you love yourself and loving your neighbor as yourself, as an extension of your own being? How does that change the meaning at all? What are the implications of that? Yeah, there's a selflessness involved. I think it's subtle, but it's significant. It changes the paradigm from one of a hierarchy where there are some people who are in need, and then there are other people who have some kind of power and an ability to sort of from a higher position reach down and help out with somebody else. It sort of levels the playing field, because what it reveals is that when one of us is struggling, actually, when one of us is hurting, all of us are hurting in some way. And when any of us are at peace, it actually reveals, unveils, communicates a place of peace that's within all of us, regardless of our circumstances. And I actually think that's really important right now. I don't know if you guys have seen, like, there's this massive storm that came through. Like it peeled the top corner of this building's roof like a tuna can. You guys notice that when you're walking in? And there's another storm on its way. And when storms are headed our way, now we know that they're coming. Isn't it weird to think that just like a couple hundred years ago, you'd just be like hanging out in your house and all of a sudden right? Now we get the benefit of being able to prepare, and also the, what's the opposite of a benefit? What's it? Detriment. We also get the increased anxiety of wondering, of, keeping an eye on the cone of uncertainty and seeing if it's headed towards us or head towards somebody else. And people do all kinds of funny things. Not funny, I mean, it's good to be prepared, but, like you go to the grocery store like when there's a storm coming and like there's no toilet paper and there's no paper towels and there's no whatever other people assume to be essentials, you want to stockpile them all so you can be ready if the power goes out. And I would just like to recommend that for us, it's fine to do these things, but maybe the best way that we can prepare for a storm is to find the place of peace within us and the place of trust. Like, there's a famous story in the Bible where Jesus was caught in a storm and all of his disciples were freaking out because they were on a boat in the middle of a great big lake. And there was a storm that was so big it threatened to capsize the boat, to tip them over, and they were all experienced watermen. And they knew what would happen if a boat went upside down in a storm like that. There'd probably be no survivors. And they'd seen Jesus do miracles, and so they thought, Jesus, do one of the miracles. And they couldn't find him. And do you remember what he was doing? Yeah, well, he was actually taking a nap, it seems like. So he was either meditating, I like that picture, or he was just snoozing. Whichever he was doing, he was not what? Worried or scared. And from that place of peace, not being afraid, he woke up and rubbed the crust out of his eyes and said, I'll be up in a minute. And then he said to the storm, just here, quiet down. And I listened. The storm took a nap. And so I'm going to read this little story called One Wave. It's a little book of oneness. And before I do, here is a prayer that Jesus prayed. It's called the High Priestly Prayer. First, yes/no quiz. Jesus, does he seem like yes? Good answer. Does Jesus seem like the kind of person that would have their prayer answered? Sometimes you pray and it didn't work, and then you're like, I must be doing something wrong. You pray you really want something to happen, and it's not happening, or you really want something to stop happening, and it keeps happening. Has it really? No way. This just in from anchor woman Callie. This has been the wettest season in the history of Florida. Wettest time period. We're still getting the facts straight. Or it sounds like you have them straight. I'm trying to get them straight. So I would wager this. Jesus, it seems to me, we can probably safely assume, if Jesus prayed something, that prayer would be answered, and that maybe even deeper than thinking of it as a question and response, it's that Jesus' prayers, or the words that Jesus used to pray, would reflect reality as it actually is. Okay? And in what's considered to be his most important prayer, this is funny. Theology's funny. Here are Jesus' top 5 prayers, ranked in order of importance. Coming in at number 1. He prayed this. He said about all of us, I've given them the glory that you gave me, he says to God, that they may be one as we are one, that they may see that I am in them and that you are in me, and that there's just this one thing happening. So here's a little book on oneness called One Wave, written by somebody named Lauren Martin. One Wave. Do you know what the world is made of? Everything in the universe is made of energy. And everything outside of the world, everything in the whole universe is made of something that we call energy. Yeah, even in outer space, as far as we can see. Did you know that light and heat are energy? And that water and waves are also energy? Did you guys know that? That it's all just energy? Does it seem like energy? Do light and heat and water and waves seem like different things to you? They all power stuff. Yeah. Yeah, waves you can surf. It's all energy. And guess what? Love and joy are also energy. Even the air that's in between us is energy. It's all energy. Everything's made of the same energy, even things that seem separate. I want to pause there really quick. I heard something, this is so interesting to me. Okay, get this. There's a therapy technique that's used with horses as a therapy animal. And this is what's been determined. Horses are especially sensitive to the energy that we exude. Did you know that your body, who you are, the energy that you contain, doesn't stop at the edge of your skin? That there is a field of energy. And I know this sounds pretty woo-woo, but it's true. It's scientifically proven. Yeah, like an aura, this kind of thing. It's something of who we are, the energy that is emitting from us, extends out beyond the edge of our body. And horses apparently are especially sensitive to this. And so I've read about this therapy where folks are invited to kind of approach these different horses. And if you come towards the horse with an anxious energy or a fearful energy or a hurried energy or a rushed energy, the horse will back away. Or sometimes it'll catch the same energy that you're coming towards it with. And that's kind of like a helpful barometer because you can see, okay, the horse is responding that way, so that must reveal that I'm feeling that way. And if I can calm down and approach the same horse from a place of centeredness, then the horse responds to me in a calm way also. Something about who we are, this energy of who we are, extends out beyond the edge of our body. And this is why everything in the universe is actually really connected as one. There's just this one thing happening. And there's only one energy, and that energy goes by many different names. Some people call it the source, the universe. Some say the creator. Some people see it as a dimension. They call it heaven. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you and around you. Some say love, others say God. And there's only this one energy, and your energy is connected to all energy. Some say your spirit or your higher self or your soul, or the scriptures say your true self, is resting in God who is eternally resting within you. And you are energy, and therefore you have the power to be, to do, to create anything. Your energy, you're made of love. That means that you're never separate from those that you love. Because your energy, heaven exists inside of you, and heaven also exists all around you. Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is where? It's within you. He said, you actually have to be careful. You got to be cautious around people who say, hey, I know where the kingdom is. I can point it out to you. Or I saw the kingdom over here yesterday. Let's go check it out. Or my particular group has the market cornered on kingdom location technologies. So join in now for the low price and we can guarantee you. Jesus said, you got to be careful when people talk like that. Not because they're outside the kingdom or because they're the bad guys. All right? Jesus said to the Pharisees, to the people that were giving him the hardest time, that were ice grilling him and challenging almost every word that came out of his mouth, he responded to them, the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's within you also. It's around and it's within. Since heaven exists inside of us, you can create joy inside, no matter what's happening outside. David said in Psalm 16, you've made known to me the path of life. You've revealed the way I should go. In your presence, there's the fullness of joy. What is joy? Happiness. Why do you suppose we have different words? We have this word happy and then we have this word joy. What do you sense to be a difference between them, if any? So maybe happiness has to do with your external circumstances. When everything's lined up in a way that is pleasurable for us, then we feel happy. Or as Roberta says, but maybe joy is sort of like a wellspring. It's something inside of us that is constant, regardless of what's happening around us. Because you are energy, you're actually never separate from God. God exists inside of you. Paul said in Romans 8, there's nothing that can separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus. And then he goes on to list all the kinds of things that we would think could separate us. He says, neither height nor depth, there's no distance between us. Neither angels or demons, these beings that would help to guide us closer to the experience of God or that would seemingly drive us away from the experience of God. He says, there's no interference. Nothing can actually separate us from the love of God, even if we feel separate. The truth of reality is that we're not. And you have everything you need to push yourself out of darkness and to grow into light. Just as a wave is one with the ocean, you are also one with God. Like a wave in the ocean, you travel in your own unique form, on your own unique path. Like a wave, you're changed by the things around you. Like a wave, you can change things around you in good ways or in bad ways. Now, when you forget this, you might feel scared, or you might feel hopeless. You might feel out of control when you forget this. But when you remember, you can choose to feel trust and enthusiasm and purpose. Every day you can learn about, you can create, or you can do something that makes you smile. Every day you can make life better for the people and the world around you. What's something that you like to do, learn about, and create that makes you smile? You like to read books. You can share. That feels good to share, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, Legos. Heck yeah, man. Creative. Frankie's already read more books than I have. He was teaching me words the other day about this, some kind of French word for like a water bridge that I'd never heard. I was like, I don't think I'm understanding this. Oh, it's because you're speaking French. You can choose a path to heaven, a path to love, a path to joy. And so the question in every moment is, what energy will you choose to form today? Because whatever energy you choose inside, it does emanate out and around you, and it affects all of us. And we always get the choice. So I'm going to close with one of my favorite stories. And it's a famous old story from the Desert Fathers and Mothers, these monks, these hermits who lived far away from the city in the the 3rd and 4th centuries, a long time ago. And this is the story. So once upon a time, some seekers from the city asked the local monastic a question. So some folks, some curious city folks came and found this old hermit who was living in a cave, kind of like Yoda or something, right? And they were on a quest, and they had this one question that they wanted answered. They said, how does one seek union with God? How is it we can know what it is to be one with God? And the wise one said, the harder you seek, the more distance you experience between God and you. So what does one do about the distance? The seekers asked. And the elders said simply, just understand that it isn't there. Does that mean that God and I are one? The disciples said. And the monastic answered, just like the sun and its light, the ocean and the wave, the vine and the branch, not one, but not two. It's a great response. All right, CK, you want to come up? Got a tune for us? All right, well, if you guys want to head back to your families, that would be fantastic. Fantastic.